Hey. Oh, it's true. Better than Return of Xander Cage.
Were you taking bets that it wouldn't be?
No. No, yes. Turns out Dave is terrible at betting. He owes me like $10,000 now. Well, with this movie, we saw Split. And with this movie, Shyamalan pulled off his biggest twist yet. A good horror movie in January. In January.
I can honestly say, did not see that coming.
Well, and honestly, I was really looking forward to this movie. Which I tend to usually always look forward to his movies because he is a director that when it's good or when it's bad, it'll be something you've never seen before. It'll be something that, at the least, will more often than not be really well made.
But yeah, he has a good habit of, even if it's a genre you've seen something of before, doing something that you haven't seen done with it. Like, like for, his, like, Unbreakable. Technically his superhero movie. Signs. Yeah, it's an alien, sci-fi movie. Yeah, sort of.
The Visit found footage movie.
So, I mean, he's got a unique take on a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, he had a rough couple fucking years. I mean, let's not downplay that part.
No, yeah. We can't downplay the fact that there was a bit of a stretch there where there was some questionable material, but at the same time, at the worst that it always got, we always talked about it.
Yeah,
they're always worth talking about. They were noble goddamn efforts.
As dumb as, like, Devil was.
Or The Happening.
Still entertaining. The Happening, I would sit down and watch right now.
Yeah. You know what? That's honestly a good point, because great movie or bad movie that he's done, every single one of them I've seen more than once.
Even that fucking, like, Last Airbender one. Terrible. Especially if you know what it's based off of. But there are parts to it that make it, I mean, it's fun to watch and trash, but it's still fun to watch. Like, it still has that. Like, it's not, like, so bad it's just bad. It's, it stays entertaining.
Not in the way that it intends.
Oh, definitely not. But
there's a character,
like Asif Manvi as himself,
as the heavy. Meanwhile, the princess has cock hair. I'm pretty sure everyone's in front of the worst green screen in that film. But between Split and The Visit, which I really fucking like the hell out of, and I enjoyed the fuck out of this movie too, he's back to realizing that his strengths and what have made his good movies as good as they are is that it's something that starts out with a simple premise. Yeah. Like, it doesn't go overboard from the get-go, like something like Lady in the Water. Stuff that you can describe the setup to it in a sentence. The Visit. They go visit their grandparents who turn out are possibly evil. In this, there's a guy with multiple personality disorders who kidnaps 3 girls.
Yeah, it's there. Start with, yeah. It seemed like there was more of an effort to start with one sentence and outline from there. Like, where could you possibly go as a conclusion to? Okay, guy has multiple personalities in his head. They're all completely separate from each other, and there's like this internal feud going on. Okay. Where can we branch that off to? Like, okay, some good, some bad. Okay, there's a battle line down the middle. Okay, gotcha. Some are more helpful, some are not. Okay, gotcha. And just branching it from there instead of, like, let's get the largest, most cumbersome plot possible.
Yeah.
Because again, like,
between the village, Lady in the Water.
Because Lady in the Water is just, it's such a top-heavy movie. Like, it's such a huge premise, but there's never going to be enough time to really get into whatever the fuck was going on with that, especially considering how he decided to make himself practically a one of the main characters.
Even in this, he's just back to being a cameo.
Yeah, he's just a guy who's there. Like, he makes a couple, like, grunty kind of noises and talks about Hooters for a second. Like, and I was perfectly fine with it. And it's the sort of thing, like, if you didn't know that was him, like, you just wouldn't know. You're like, okay. So.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, well, that's him saying a couple of lines in this scene. Right on, it works. And even with stuff like, because even, I'm so glad he's...
self-surfing.
I'm so glad he's back to making good movies again. Like, I really am, because even in... Look, as entertaining as stuff like The Happening is, and things like that, like, even during movies like The Happening or Lady in the Water, they're still clearly movies made by a guy with talent.
Yeah.
Like, somebody who is not talented doesn't make something like The Happening or Lady in the Water. Like, because... there is some originality there. It's just not working quite the way that it wants in movies like that. But it's like, I know sooner or later he's going to have another one that knocks it out of the park. But you know what? While we're in that run of stuff like, you know, the plants are making us kill ourselves, look, I've still not seen this movie. Like, this movie is still worth talking about.
It's like, I went to the store, got some cough syrup. I didn't even have a cough.
Fuck.
Who writes that?
I forgot about the cough syrup speech in that, or the...
It's like it was just tiramisu.
Yeah, and the expletive of cheese and crackers and shit like that.
Hot dogs get a bad rap.
What? Like, man, like, I am not bored. No, this movie is suspenseful as fuck.
From honestly, right from the jump, like, it establishes a good tone and a good atmosphere to it, and it keeps a hold of it. Like, it never really, you never really get a nice sense of, like, calm or ease or anything like that. Like, the trailers kind of make it look like there's more of, like, a dynamic between, like, the girls and their captor than there really is. Like,
yeah.
Like in the trailer, it almost looks like there might even be, like, sort of like, it's like, oh shit, they're getting, like, Stockholm syndrome, like, you know, type thing. Like,
oh, sure.
Really playing up that aspect of it, or like he's, like, infatuated with them to some degree or something like that. But no, it's still pretty, like, cold and detached. You know, it keeps that tone, and it rides it all the way through. Even, like, the parts where it's... Because I think a good strength of it is just the way that McAvoy plays the different personalities. Because even when... Like, he spends a fair portion of the movie in the persona of Hedwig, a 9-year-old boy. But it always still comes across as very threatening.
Yeah, because we've gotten a sense of just how strong this character is. And James McAvoy is... really a key to this working as well as it does, because this movie is downright performance art. Like, this is James McAvoy playing a character with 20 different personalities, and goddamn if he doesn't nail every single one of them.
Because, yeah, it's even just, like, to small degrees. Like, at one point he's lying about which one of him he is. And just with, like, a simple, like, just... You know, despite, like, yeah, like, each one likes to dress a certain way. Each one has their own mannerisms. Each one has their own way of talking, their cadence, the way they hold themselves. Like, he does a really good job, like, really fleshing it out to where, like, yeah, in that scene where you know, he's pretending to be one and it turns out he's a different one. Like, just a subtle, like, just repositioning of his frame, and you're like, oh, okay, clearly he is this one now.
Yeah, and,
like,
and it makes you...
immediately, like, no, just visual, like, nothing else being done for that one moment. You're like, I know exactly which one he is right now.
And it makes you think about that through the rest of the movie, because you'll sit there and watch him as one character and then maybe think to yourself, he did something a little OCD right there. Is he actually Dennis' character right now?
Is he adjusting shit, or is it just, he's just fidgety?
Yeah. And the parts of it that are funny, because there are a handful of times that, like, it gets some laughs here and there, but it was always intentional. Like, it was always, like, when there would be some really uneasy joke that is kind of there to, I don't want, liven it up is the wrong word, but to still make you kind of smirk at just how, like, really uncomfortable this is. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, you still feel not at all at ease when you're watching this, even when something slightly funny happens.
Well, yeah, it was like, the first time we meet Hedwig.
Yeah.
He's just randomly talking, and he keeps just, like, you know, he really does, like, encapsulate that, like, you know, mentality of a 9-year-old pretty well, to where, like, he'll say something very important and then followed up immediately with just a random aside because, oh, he just thought of it. Like that scene in the trailers where he's saying, like, oh, there's somebody coming and he's done bad things to people and he's going to do bad things to you. He follows that up immediately with, like, oh, and also I have blue socks.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
And this is a part that could have been played so wrong so fast, you know?
Because that was the thing I remember, like, when I first, like, very first time saw a trailer for this. Like, Letty had seen it earlier in the evening, because I think, actually, we were at something else. And I came home, and she's like, oh my god, did you guys get the trailer for this? I'm like, no. This is like, you gotta watch this. It's like, McAvoy goes, like, full retard. She's like, it looks cool, but I'm like, I don't know, he's doing this, like, I Am Sam shit.
That's what I mean. It's like, he really nailed this in a part that probably 9 times out of 10 would have been unintentionally funny from beginning to end, and I never ever felt like I was laughing at any performance in this movie. I felt like I was laughing along with it the few times that I did. But
yeah, it was when, like, you were supposed to. It was when it gave you permission to do it.
Yeah.
I like, you know, it's like just odd things like the Patricia personality, like had, like, just weird little, like, quirks, like, you know, like, just an odd little, like, it's like, yeah, he's a thing. I don't know. Just, like, odd little, just little nudges and winks and nods and stuff. But there's, like, yeah, that's a good spot to laugh. Like all this terrible shit that just happened, and then he comes walking in as her, and it's like, you know, like, oh, I made that sandwich special for you with, like, it's got, like, paprika or something. Wink. It's like, okay.
Yeah, or constantly dropping the word etc. at the most awkward times possible.
Again, yeah, with the Hedwig, like, really getting in there, like, the mind of a child on that one is like, I know from a couple of, like, my younger nephews, like, they'll do stuff like that, like, they'll learn a particular word and they just kind of, like, try to throw it in all the time. It's unfortunately sounding a lot like basically like internet commenter sometimes. One of his more recent ones that he likes peppering into sentences is, actually. It's like, you didn't need to actually that. You're like, actually, milk comes from cows. It's like, yes, that is. No one is arguing that.
I just like cutting someone off when they say stuff like that and just going, no, whom? Even if they never said either who or whom in the sentence. To be fair, I figured it was going to be that or actually, which is what he was going to be saying.
Actually comes up a lot. Or technically.
Ends with just saying. He disagrees with you about anything and he calls you an SJW. You stubbed your toe on the floor, go, fuck, and he goes, oh, someone's triggered.
It's like, you're growing up too fast, you're 8.
Just stop spending so much time online. For the love of God.
Parental locks. Maybe sometimes. This
is also just same with most of his movies, honestly. Dear God, this is a fantastically shot film. And it looks like one of his. Like, at this point, like, whether it's his good movies or bad movies, you pick up it's easy to pick up on his directing style quite a bit. There's a lot of parts where people are looking directly into the camera. There's a lot of really long shots, a lot of big
like tracking shots,
yeah,
things like which are fantastic.
Exactly.
Like, they're all very, very well shot, and like especially given like the setting of this one, because a majority of the film, not all of it, but a majority of it takes place in wherever the fuck, you know, they're being held captive.
And the way that it's filmed,
so claustrophobic.
Exactly. The way that it's filmed is key to this feeling, as suspenseful as it is. This constant sense of dread throughout it, because it's like you're watching it and you're like, I don't know if this 24th personality he has is gonna turn into this beast-like figure that they keep talking about, but regardless if it does or if it doesn't, this is still a guy with 23 personalities who has kidnapped 3 women without any sense that he's going to let them go.
Oh, yeah. And just zero remorse about it. Like, there's probably, it seems like there's a few of the personalities in there who may have taken issue with it, but the dominant ones that we see throughout the main part of the film, like, they're perfectly comfortable with what they have done in life.
To get into spoiler territory, when he actually does turn into the thing that's talked about, I was still on the edge of my seat during that. I was like, this is like with The Visit, with the grandparents going after him at the end. It's like, this is still a horrifying situation to be in. I'm like, this crazy fucking jacked up McAvoy chasing you throughout a goddamn. There was one thing I was wondering when I was watching it, and I couldn't remember the last act of it. It lasts like 10 minutes. They say at one point, the main character, what's her name? Anya Joy, the girl from The Witch.
Taylor Joy.
That's it. She's great in the movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, she turns in another like fucking crazy performance.
And so she's given a note at one point which says that you just have to say his name, and that seems to kind of put him back into what his actual state is, a guy named Kevin.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like a trigger word, or like a reset switch to like they get to share who gets to be in charge, and like one of the other personalities kind of like chooses like when they get to do it. But then like saying like the actual like the prime persona, like the original persona, Kevin, like using his full name, like boom, snaps him out of everybody.
And I never really understood in the last 10 minutes why that only happened once. Because he turns back into the beast and he's kind of chasing her again throughout it. And I was sitting there like, did I miss something? Why isn't she saying his name again?
Well, she tried. Did
she try?
She tried using his name again, but Patricia at that point mentioned that they had like basically like shoved his like the original like Kevin like so far down that like that wasn't gonna work anymore.
That
like,
makes more sense. That makes more sense to me now. I figured it was something like that. I'm like, it can't be that she's just not saying his name again. I probably missed something somewhere along the way.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those like, it's like, that worked once, not again. sort of deals.
What'd you think of the? Because this movie does have a twist. It does, and it's the kind of twist where if I wasn't liking this movie, I probably would have been like, oh come on. But you know what? I really enjoyed the fuck out of this movie. I was thoroughly entertained from beginning to end. This was always a really taut, suspenseful movie for me. McAvoy is worth the ticket price alone to see this.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's practically like a one-man stage show. Yeah,
it honestly really is. It is worth a full price just for that alone. And, any issue that I kind of had with it, you just explained, which I figured was something like that, but I'm like, I need to ask and double check. And when it got to the final reveal at the end, I was like, you know what? Fine. Like, this movie's kind of earned this.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're easing us back into your good graces. Like, I'll come with you on this one.
And it completely and utterly makes sense to me, honestly. It, you know what, fuck it. Well, if you don't, look, go see the movie. All right? I honestly highly fucking recommend this movie.
Because what else are you going to be watching tomorrow?
What else comes out?
Well, the inauguration.
Oh, yeah, this is much more uplifting.
A movie about 3 women being kidnapped by a deranged mad men.
And some mad women.
No, true, to be fair.
No, I mean, in terms of January horror films, this is one of the best I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. At least easily since, like, January horror has just become to, you know, like, the dumping ground.
Yeah. Since what, Chainsaw 3D? Or at least since we've been doing Midnights all year round.
Yeah.
So when I was watching this movie, for most of it, I was like, God, you know what? Honestly, I think this might be like his best movie since Unbreakable, which I always actually considered to be his best movie. I fucking love that. I love that movie. It's of his movies. It's the one I've seen the most. Easily for years, I thought that was his best movie. And then at the end of this, it turns out it is in the same universe as Unbreakable.
Universe.
Yeah. And you know what? I buy it. I completely buy that what James McAvoy has going on, that all of these personalities have come together to make this beast-like character that's fucking bulletproof. Yeah, I buy that that's the same universe that has Mr. Glass in it and Bruce Willis's character. That totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's like, this is completely acceptable, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because what Unbreakable did for putting what is essentially a superhero movie, but in a universe unlike ones you usually see in a movie like that.
Yeah, as far as like a lot of different, like, not so much mainstream, like not like ultra mainstream, like comic book movies or shows or stuff like that. Like, you know, they always try to go for more of like a grounded setting. But like Unbreakable was like the ground.
Yeah. Like that's a brilliant way to put it.
You have like these characters who are essentially like, and they even go through the full explanation of like, yeah, like you are basically like the archetypes for these kind of characters. And that's where it leaves it. Like there's no tights. There's not really like super heroics or anything like that. It's just showing like yeah, this is probably what would happen if this shit actually could happen. It's like, it'd be like, I don't want to fuck with this shit. Like, it's like, come on, you're lifting like that fucking 900 pounds.
Yeah.
Bench press here. It's like, I don't know.
And he has a weakness, which is water. Again, portrayed in a universe, like you said, that is just the ground of grounded. And
yeah, nothing crazy about it. It's just like, bitch can't swim to literally save his life.
Yeah. And in this movie, it is the flip side of that. It is absolutely the flip side of that, of showing the origin of this beast-like villain. That, are they planning on doing another one after this? Like, I remember there was talk for a while of there being another Unbreakable movie, but
I think it was originally supposed to be part of that trilogy that...
It was like Devil and...
Yeah, like it was supposed to, like, a follow-up to Unbreakable was supposed to be either the second or the third movie in that. But then after Devil did just terrible at the box office, like, you don't get to be trusted with the budget anymore.
One was something about, like, a jury. It was like Reincarnate, is that what it was called?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been too long now.
Whatever it was something where I was like, I you know what? I would still go see that.
Yeah.
Devil's another one that, for all the faults that it has, there's fucking plenty. It's still a fun movie to talk about. That movie was not boring.
Jelly side up.
I do not regret sitting through that movie. And goddamn, like that movie actually did like fucking get me in its reveal. Fuck. But yeah, no, this one I'm curious to see if it goes anywhere else beyond this.
The next movie will be a crossover. It'll be Bruce Willis versus McAvoy.
Oh, brilliant. There were times when I was watching this movie where I was thinking, because of a couple of different ways that McAvoy dressed and kind of acted, I was watching it and I was like, something tells me that this same exact thing has happened, but involving Kirk from Gilmore Girls.
There is a point in which Kirk has abducted women.
With all of his many personalities and their different jobs. He's showing off his dancing trophy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what happened to Adam Brody.
It's all explained now.
And the two girls who were Paris's friends at Chilton. They came back once in the college years, never seen again.
It's like, oh, we heard there was a party tonight. We just happened to be here.
And then Kirk kidnaps them. It turns into a beast-like creature. That's a very season 7 plotline.
Turns out it's like fucking Manhunter. He's just got a giant full back tattoo.
The show changed when it moved to HBO. Oh my god, I like that. That's more laughs than I got out of Return of Xander Cage. Fuck. Anyway, any other thoughts about the movie?
No, it's a tight sit. It's
yeah.
It sorry about all the coughing. No, it stays focused. It doesn't wander like it. I liked the interspersed little parts every now and again, like giving
that back. Yeah, I really liked that.
A little bit more of a backstory without really getting into it. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really interesting way to do that.
Mm-hmm. That shit was just as terrifying as what we're watching with McAvoy.
Yeah, watching her like her backstory play out, you know, in the random cuts is like, that's darker than what's happening now.
Fuck me, right?
No wonder she's so fucking calm. Yeah. Her life is terrible.
Yeah, I really loved that about this movie. I'm like, wow, I don't see that often in a movie like this.
It's like, this is kind of a vacation for her, if you think about it.
Right? This is a getaway.
Especially there at the end, whenever, you know, she ends up getting, like, you know, saved, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, your ride's here. Like, oh no. Like, that cop didn't know what to do because she's just like, I'm gonna send this fucking cop.
Yeah, something tells me she's never going back home again. She's gonna get that shotgun back from the fucking basement.
Yeah, either that or she's going home with a new purpose and a resolve of steel.
Yeah. Now, this is a movie that, what you see in the trailer, how the trailer starts with McAvoy getting in the car and the three girls, and that's in like the first minute of this movie. So it right away draws you into this story. I highly recommend it. Yeah, go check it out this weekend, especially if you need an escape.
And hell, honestly, like in my opinion, it actually makes probably a fairly decent like double feature with that other kind of trippy movie that McAvoy did here a couple years back. That Danny Boyle one, Trance.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes for a decent double feature, I'd say.
Oh, hell yeah. Honestly, even that would be a good one, even a double feature with Victor Frankenstein. That's another great batshit McAvoy performance. Another movie. I liked that movie. I thought that was pretty underrated, honestly. But another movie that was a movie that was also worth the ticket price alone for James McAvoy being batshit insane from beginning to end.
Have fun.
Yeah. God, I love that man. All right. See ya.